product and service because people are trained in how to sell a tire if that's what you're selling. But how you're selling the company culture becomes really important. I'll give you a small example. I was at a mine in Australia where the largest tires, these giant 63-inch mining tires, had been quote unquote destroyed because the truck ran over a rock, and the tire probably had delivered maybe 10 or 15 hours when it should be capable of delivering more than 2,000. And I saw that, and when a tire fails in a mine, they typically ask you to compensate them, and they were not asking for it because they had done something wrong. And so when I insisted on actually seeing the tire and going and talking to the maintenance manager. And my colleague from Australia explained to him that, he's insisting on seeing the tire and he's insisting on talking to you and all that. And I told him, I said, it took us more hours to make this tire. It was made in the US. It took us more hours to ship it, and you've destroyed it in 10 hours. If this is the way you treat product that our people make, I don't think we should be selling tires to you. And he looked at my colleague from Australia and he says, can he do that? And he said, well, he runs this product line. He can do anything that he damn well pleases. And he said, but, you can't do that. And I said, no, I can. You are not respecting the people that made this product for you.
Yeah.
And I cannot because I go back to the plants and I have to tell them how their tires are performing. And when they find out that this tire was destroyed in 10 hours, they will look at me and say, why are we working so hard if this is how the customer uses it? And so he said, what can I do? I said, we have a program where, my colleague can help you, ensure that your mine roads are correct, your trucks are are not overloaded and so on. And so it's the Australian summer. So I was there, I think, in January or February. And that European summer, he was on a holiday in Europe. He came to see us. He sent me photographs every month of how clean his mine was. and we didn't need to, and we used that to convince other people that is what they needed to do.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you touched upon corporate culture there. In a conversation I had with Mr. Ranganath Ota on one of my first episodes, he talked about in one of his initial corporate jobs, the culture was just amazing. People went there because they wanted to work rather than went there for their salary. What do you think are essential parts of having a healthy and productive corporate culture?
So, at Michelin, we had a few company values that were really very simple, and it started with respect for the customer, respect for people, respect for the facts, and then we added respect for stakeholders and respect for the environment as time went by. But the first three that I encountered when I came to the company were those first three. And there always was at the back of everyone's mind, everyone said, but the product that we make is the most sacred thing that we do. And so we would constantly say, and we also respect our product. And people would say, no. Your customer has to respect your product. You have to respect the people, you have to respect your customer, and you have to respect the fact. And I think these are very simple things, and these are fairly universal. And I think if you can ensure that leaders in an organization always uphold these values at a difficult time in any conversation, you send the message that this is important. You send the message that this kind of behavior is the appropriate behavior. To give you a simple example in R&D, today you read about people falsifying data, publishing, papers in prestigious journals that they have to retract because of experimental either errors or mistakes they made, willingly or unwillingly, but poor data management. And the number of times in R&D where you have a hypothesis, you are really keen on getting a successful result, and it doesn't turn out that way, happens more often than you might imagine. And to have the courage to say, my thesis advisor often used to say when we had ideas that didn't pan out, he says, one more Nobel Prize idea down the drain.
Yeah.
So I think you have to have the humility to accept the facts the way they are, even if they are unpleasant, because you know that the strength that you will get from respecting those facts will eventually lead you to the success that you're looking for. But trying to find a shortcut or forcing the issue is not going to help. And at that point, you have to be able to tell everyone in the organization, you may have made a commitment that you will launch a product at a certain date, and then, your results do not enable you to support that. And you have to be supported because you are going to miss a launch date. So I think it's really very small behaviors that percolate through the company. All it takes is once where someone does not respect the facts and you've destroyed the culture.
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, we used to always say you only have one chance in your life to sell your soul. So don't sell it.
That's a good one. That's deep. And talking about respect for the product, you worked in R&D for 23 years, which is sizable. And Michelin, from what I know, is known for their amazing tires. Not their company, not their brand, their tires, right? And whatever list you see, Michelin has the best tires. Michelin has the best tires. They make tires for everyone. What did you do to consistently develop the quality of tires that you were producing in the R&D unit? How did you work on that?
So a tire is a very unusual product in the sense that it's everywhere
Mhm.
and it's completely not understood by all the consumers.
Yeah.
And there is this expression of kicking the tires.
Yeah.
So when someone goes to buy a tire, they really don't know what they're getting, and so you have to first design and it's first and foremost, a tire is a safety device.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that is between you and the road when you're driving, whether it's a truck or a car or any other vehicle. And if it fails, that can be catastrophic. So you have to keep in mind that you're responsible for a safety device. And so you have to prepare it with enough redundancies that it will overcome the most abusive environment it might encounter. Not willingly, but it can happen. So you're driving. Yeah, I mean when you're driving in mines on off-road applications, there are rocks all over the place. So I think you have to keep that in mind. And so when you're designing and developing a product like that, you have to build in the redundancies. Now that can be expensive, and but then if you do it well enough and you have safety factors in your product that ensure that your product will survive the worst environments that it might be exposed to, that's how you get the reputation. And then you've got to then tell people the other aspects of what a tire is delivering. It might be fuel efficiency, it might be comfort, it might be how comfortable the ride is, and or how precise the steering is. So those are, I would say, attributes that people who are aficionados will appreciate, but everyone else wants a safe ride, and you have to be able to ensure that.
So now that we've covered your career as a part of the Michelin Group, could you tell us a little about how you got into teaching business at Clemson?
Very interesting. So when I retired, my son and my nephew, who were recent MBA graduates, told me that MBA faculty often bring senior retired executives to illustrate some of the things that they're talking about, to sort of give a real world flavor to what's being discussed. And so they suggested that I look around and see if there was something that might be of interest to me. And I retired in Greenville, South Carolina, and I wrote to the two schools that have MBA programs, and Clemson was one of them, and it happens to have their MBA program in downtown Greenville, which is not the main campus of Clemson, which is about 30 miles away. And so I just sent them my CV and said, if you need me, let me, we can, I'd be happy to come and illustrate or provide examples.